as joggers walked past earbuds. The crisp, quiet morning air in Millbrook Park was rustled by a slight breeze. And lost in their routines, no one noticed the elderly man sitting alone on the far bench under the elm tree. He had come there every morning for years, always early, always alone. But today something was different. His hand trembled slightly as he reached in his coat pocket. Then, without warning, his fingers clutched his chest. His body went rigid for a moment, then slumped to the side. He collapsed against the bench, lips pale, eyes half shut. No one saw. Not the joggers, not the cyclists, not the groundskeeper on the far side of the park. But someone did. A small white dog, clean, alert, and calm, stood motionless near the fountain. Then suddenly he took off in a sprint, not toward the fallen man, but straight out of the park gates. Moments later, a startled scream rang out from inside the cafe. Across the street, the cafe had just opened for the morning rush. A few customers were sipping coffee, scrolling through their phones when the front door suddenly banged. Open heads turned. A white dog burst in. Panting, hard eyes bright with purpose, it barked sharply once, twice, then ran toward the counter. The barista shouted in surprise, nearly dropping a tray of cups. "Whose dog is this?" Someone whispered, but the dog was staring at a woman and wasn't searching for food or cover. Claire, a young server, felt a dog tug at the hem of her apron and instinctively stepped back, but the dog continued barking and pulling toward the door. Customers flinched and some of them laughed. But Claire, not sure why, felt a strange urgency in the dog's eyes. It wasn't hungry. It was desperate. She wiped her hands, looked at her manager, and then followed the dog outside, where it took off right away, looking back every few steps to make sure she was still approaching. Claire paused, but her instinct told her to press on. The dog guided her back into the park, where she followed it through wet grass and between trees. Her shoes were soaked, and she was breathing more quickly as they went, until she saw him. In the exact spot where the dog had first seen him, an elderly man was slumped on a bench beneath a large elm tree. His skin appeared pale, almost gray, and his hand was hanging motionless off the side of the bench. Claire hurried forward and kneeled next to him, asking, "Sir, can you hear me?" She gently shook his shoulder and called out, but got no response. She then took out her phone, trembling, and dialed 911, giving them the address as precisely as she could. A few minutes later, an ambulance pulled into the park path, and paramedics rushed over to start taking vital signs. The medic said, "You got to him just in time, but another 10 minutes and he might not have made it," as one of them turned to face Claire solemnly. "He had a stroke," the medic said. Claire turned to face the dog, who was now sitting quietly by the bench. It remained there through the chaos, never barking again, never fleeing, just watching and waiting. When the stretcher rolled away toward the ambulance, the dog rose to follow, tail low, head down, as it had done before. At the hospital, the man slowly regained consciousness. He was weak and confused but alive, and family members rushed to his side. Claire remained near the doorway, unsure whether to leave or speak. But when the old man noticed the dog sitting at the edge of the hallway, something inside him changed. "You know this dog?" Claire asked in shock. The man's eyes filled with tears. "I never imagined I'd see him again after having to let him go 6 months ago because I lost my house and was unable to provide for him. I left him here in the park with a broken voice. When his name was called, the dog's ears perked up. He then padded forward and placed his head on the man's chest." The room fell silent. Rusty had never really left, and when the time came for him to return, news of the rescue spread throughout the town's newspapers, calling it a miracle. However, to Claire and the man who now had a second chance at life, it was something deeper. It was loyalty. It was love that never forgot, and Rusty was never alone again.